August 28, 2003, Erie, Pennsylvania. It's a bright, sunny day. Just another ordinary one for Brian Wells. He works as a pizza delivery man at a small place called Mamma Mia Pizzeria. At 1:30 p.m., he receives a strange order. 2 pizzas to be delivered near an old TV transmission tower at the end of a dirty, overgrown road. But at 2:30 p.m., shortly after the delivery, Brian steps into a PNC bank. He's no longer wearing his work uniform. Now it's a white t-shirt. Around his neck is a crude explosive device, and in his hands a homemade shotgun shaped like a cane. He approaches the teller and demands $250,000. In the end, he walks out with just under $8,000. The employees didn't have access to the main vault. What followed felt like something straight out of an action movie. Brian tries to follow a set of bizarre instructions. A scavenger hunt meant to help him deactivate the bomb before it explodes. His next stop, a McDonald's, where another task awaits. But he never got the chance to complete it. As he was pulling out of the parking lot, police surrounded him. They arrested and handcuffed him. But the moment they realized he had a bomb strapped to his neck, they backed away. Brian pleaded desperately, insisting he wasn't the perpetrator.
Wells talks out loud about the bomb to anyone who will listen.
At 3:18 p.m., just minutes before the bomb squad arrived, the device exploded. Brian didn't survive the blast. The mystery surrounding the case stunned the entire nation. No one could understand why Brian had taken part in it. Was he a willing accomplice, or just an innocent pizza delivery man lured into a cruel and calculated trap, forced to follow the orders of real criminals? This is the story of the strangest and most brutal bank heist in American history. Brian Wells was one of 7 children growing up in Pennsylvania. He was described as childlike by those who knew him, and he had dropped out of high school at 16 in 1973. He started out working as a mechanic before hopping between other jobs. For over a decade, Wells had been employed as a pizza delivery driver at Mamma Mia's Pizzeria, where he was known for his quiet nature. Simply put, Brian kept himself to himself. At 46, he lived a simple life, living with his mother. But on August 28, 2003, he took what looked like a pretty routine delivery that turned out to be anything but. At 1:30 p.m. on that summer day, Mamma Mia's Pizzeria received a cryptic order for 2 pizzas to be delivered to a remote TV transmission tower at the end of a dirt road. Investigators later determined the call originated from a nearby gas station payphone. Wells accepted the order. When he arrived at the location, a group of individuals allegedly ambushed Wells. Some nearby witnesses claimed they heard a gunshot around that time. One of them attached the collar device to Wells. It was a simple, crude, hinged metal collar with 4 locks, fitted with 2 pipe bombs and kitchen timers. Wells was handed a cryptic 9-page scavenger hunt manual. The document instructed him to rob a bank and collect the keys needed to defuse the bomb within strict time limits. Before he left, they put a white t-shirt on him with the word "Guess" printed across the chest. It was no accident. A twisted message meant for anyone who saw him. Guess what's underneath? Wells was given the cane-shaped shotgun and told that the bomb would be detonated if he didn't follow the plan exactly. He was told to blame 3 black men if he was caught. At 2:30 p.m., Wells entered the PNC Bank. He slid a note to a teller demanding $250,000 and warning the bomb would detonate in 15 minutes if his demands weren't met. The security footage from the bank shows that Wells patiently waited in line, sucking on a free lollipop he'd grabbed on the way in. The teller couldn't access the bank's vault within the short time they had, and they handed Wells $8,702 in a bag. He took that money and left. Again, if he had such strict instructions, and was told he'd be killed if he moved away from them even in the slightest. Why would he take the lower amount? This is what led some investigators to believe Brian Wells must have, at least partly, agreed to be a part of the heist. However, the note's instructions specifically warned against causing a scene or alerting authorities, which might just explain Wells's behavior. Still, this level of calm confused law enforcement. Even as he told them that the bomb was real, he wasn't panicking. This is where the theory emerged, that he had agreed to carry out the plan, believing the bomb wasn't real. According to the manual, Wells had just 55 minutes to complete a series of tasks in order to retrieve the keys and codes needed to disarm the bomb around his neck. But later, it became clear. 55 minutes was never enough time. Whoever strapped that device to him must have known the mission was doomed from the start. The question remained, did Wells know it was a real bomb? Maybe he believed that if he followed the instructions precisely, he'd receive the codes to deactivate it. But if they told him it was just a fake, then someone had coldly deceived him, someone who acted like a disturbed maniac, but was smart enough to plan every step of this twisted game. After robbing the bank, he was meant to drive to a McDonald's, locate a rock beneath a drive-through sign, and pick up a hidden note taped to the bottom. At around 2:45 p.m., police surrounded Wells in a parking lot, just minutes after he left the PNC Bank. Officers found him standing near his car, clutching the shotgun and the bag containing the money. As they ordered him to drop the weapon, Wells did as they asked and found himself in cuffs right away. News footage shows him sitting on the ground, slumped but strangely calm, as officers cleared bystanders from the area. When he was questioned, Wells stuck to his story that he was an unwilling robber, claiming that 3 black men had ambushed him at the TV tower, forced the bomb onto his neck at gunpoint, and threatened to detonate it unless he followed their orders. The police were skeptical about the authenticity of the bomb, but still called in the bomb squad. Wells continued to warn them that the bomb would go off. The collar bomb started making fast beeps around 3:15 p.m., now in its final countdown. At 3:18 p.m., the bomb exploded. The bomb squad was only 3 minutes away, stuck in traffic. The biggest mystery was Wells's role. Was he just a victim, or was he a willing participant? It just wasn't clear. His family has always insisted he was innocent, but the strange calmness around him on the day suggests otherwise. The 3 black men Wells described were never found, which made his account increasingly suspicious. Investigators began searching the area around the TV tower, where Wells was supposed to deliver the pizzas. The trail led them to a man named William Rothstein, who lived just a few dozen meters from the crime scene. They tried to find out if he had heard anything suspicious on that fateful day, but he had nothing to offer. So they continued their investigation. However, Rothstein had a much darker secret than anyone could have imagined. But 3 weeks after the incident, everything changed.
State Police, what's your emergency?
At 8645 Peach Street, in the garage, there is a frozen body. It's in the freezer. There's a woman there you might want to pick up and question.
How do you know that, sir?
Trust me, I know.
Who are you?
I'm the guy who lives there.
What is your name, sir?
Bill Rothstein.
And what is her name?
Marjorie Deal.
Marjorie Deal Armstrong, a woman diagnosed with bipolar disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and a violent past. Her first boyfriend lost his life after she fired 6 shots at him. Marjorie claimed it was self-defense, and the court acquitted her. Her second partner died under mysterious circumstances from a brain hemorrhage. But then came the day when James Roden, her fiancé, disappeared. At first, Marjorie denied any involvement and tried to shift suspicion onto Rothstein. But in the end, she admitted that during a money-related argument, Roden had lost his life because of her. Investigators believe that Roden's death wasn't an accident. It was meant to silence someone who knew too much about the planned bank heist and could have exposed everything. But the story doesn't end there. Soon it became clear that Rothstein and Marjorie might have been key players in an even larger and darker conspiracy. Rothstein, a reclusive engineer and alleged bomb designer, became a big part of the plan too, though he died of cancer in 2004 before charges could be filed. His death left gaps in the case, but it was clearly linked. Other perpetrators included Kenneth Barnes, who had planned the heist with Marjorie, and Floyd Stockton, the man who was allegedly responsible for placing the bomb on Wells. Diehl Armstrong's manipulation of accomplices and her psychiatric issues made her one of America's most enigmatic female serial killers. Marjorie Diehl Armstrong was convicted in 2010 for planning the robbery and using a destructive device. In 2017, Marjorie passed away in prison. Kenneth Barnes pleaded guilty to conspiracy in 2008, admitting collaboration with Diehl Armstrong. Despite all the evidence, no one has ever been convicted of Brian Wells' murder, only for the robbery. Yet one question remains, still dividing the public to this day. Was Brian Wells an innocent victim, or did he become involved in a plan that ultimately cost him his life? The 2018 Netflix documentary Evil Genius reignited interest in the case, shedding light on how deeply Marjorie Diehl Armstrong was involved in it all. But the story of Brian Wells remains full of unanswered questions. And perhaps we'll never know exactly what happened that day, because the truth may have died with those who knew it.